What is up, Dish Rags? JJ back here from Run Pure Bets talking some NFL for week 9 with my boy Holden. Holden, been a nice little run for me over the last few weeks, but I needed the Vaseline yesterday. DFS, betting, I mean, it all wasn't really pretty for me on a Saturday. Prize Picks went 2-1, but that's kind of even been below the standard. How have you been doing recently?
Well, I was doing really well till yesterday, you son of a bitch. You were on such a heater. Oh my God. I'm just like, whatever JJ puts out there, do it. You know, it's like Martina Navratilova. If she came out of retirement, bet on her, she wins. So good job, man. That was a great run you were on. I need to talk to you about something here. Let's talk about it. Cause I threw a play on the sheet and things have changed. I don't feel as uncomfortable. And my conviction play today is just going to be Darren Waller over 4.5 receptions. I love that. That was one of my first bets I put down when they popped up after Thursday Night Football. But here's my process here. I had Deshaun Watson over 285.5 or 86.5 yards. The wind that is going to be 18 to 20 with gusts in the mid to upper 20s. Little concern there, JJ. What are your thoughts on like hedging out, telling the people that are subscribers about this? How should I handle this?
So it's a few things, and I always say it's really based on the individual. So I know it's not going to be the answer you really want to hear, but
okay,
if you're somebody who's going to over tilt if it wins,
yeah,
okay? Like so let's say you saw the wind come out, and now the prop is maybe a few yards underneath it, right? So maybe it's 278 if it was 280, whatever. Mm-hmm. So you decide to give yourself a small Polish middle, and you go under 278 to hedge off it.
Why is it Polish?
I don't know where the term came from, but I know that specifically they refer to it as a Polish middle.
Okay.
But ultimately, I can't speak on the exacts for why. I just know that.
Okay.
So you leave yourself that 4 to 5 yard window. So most likely you're not going to fall in that window. But if you do, I mean, that's going to be super tilted.
Oh.
But the other angle is if Deshaun Watson just starts guns blazing today, okay, aren't you going to be super tilted that you went back?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that when you make a wrong bet, like when you accidentally make a wrong bet in a sports book, whether it's not when you're at a teller, but if you're on your mobile app and you make a wrong bet, like it's almost like you should never go against it because then it's almost like fate had you make that wrong bet.
Oh no, I told you I did that. I told you I did. You've done that before?
Made the wrong bet and then stuck with it? Yeah.
Online. You made the wrong bet online? Were you sober or
completely sober? Yeah.
Really? Yeah. No. I tried to hedge out of it the one time I did hedge out of it the one time I did it and it busted anyway. So anyways, I'm going to stick with it. You know, you gave me some logic and then you're like, but what if it hits? Ooh. So I was, hey, you know, it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, you'll watch the game. The first play, you're concerned about the win. The first play will be a 7-yard screen that they take to the house.
Honestly, it's not even the money. It's more when I throw something on the sheet, dude, that's the game that I go at. I'll watch that game because I'm a newbie at the sheet. You know, I've been given DFS stuff for a while, but the sheet is very intimidating. So we'll see what happens today. All right, buddy, let's get into this. Like I said, the only real weather game today, and it's not even that bad, would be Jacksonville at Houston. Deshaun Watson's good enough to overcome that. For me, the game of the day, though, we've got Russell Wilson and Josh Allen at Buffalo. We're all excited about that. Line right now, just about everywhere, 54.5, 55, and Seattle's a 3-point favorite. Thoughts here?
Yeah, so I slightly lean the over now, seeing it at 54.5. It's not a bet I love by any means. And as far as the sides go, so here's the thing. You're more or less buying very low on Buffalo if you're betting them here, which is a good thing, right? You're kind of selling high on Seattle. You got a West Coast team traveling east, laying 3. The problem is if this is a close game, who do you want, right? You want Wilson, right? You're not going to want Josh Allen. And Josh Allen, you know, he's had some issues with accuracy for sure. Now, he's not going to get much of a pass rush today against Seattle, but Jamal Adams is back, correct?
Jamal Adams is back.
Yeah, so that's going to be a big help to this pass rush at minimum. But what I will say is it's hard to imagine these two teams not going down on each other, scoring each possession. It's just going to be a matter of if they can convert them into touchdowns, which, by the way, Seattle's the best in the NFL at it. Especially in the red zone. But Buffalo's had a real issue getting the ball in the end zone, and I'm wondering if that'll become a problem here today. But we'll have to see. But either way, I would lean the over. The problem is you bet an over like this, there could be 54 points, which would be a lot of scoring, and it still goes under. So that's why I don't love it. But ultimately, lean over at the 54.5.
Okay, very good. Let's move on to the Denver-Atlanta game. And here we got a total of 48.5. A lot of people thinking Denver's going to roll in there and put up some points. They sucked for 3 quarters last week. Drew Lock looked like he had no future in this league. And then boom, they turned it on. They were playing Anthony Lynn. It was wonderful. Well, now they get another team that likes to blow leads. They don't like to win, the Atlanta Falcons don't. They're 4-point favorites at home against the Denver team. Oh, defensively is their strength, and I just don't know if they can shut down this Atlanta offense, even though we're likely not going to have Ridley. 48.5 is the total, 4-point favorites for Atlanta.
So the question you ask yourself coming into this game is, what do you make of the Denver win last week? Is that a win where they end up building more momentum coming into this week? Where they score 21 in the fourth quarter against the worst coach, against one of the worst coaches in the NFL. So they win in that fashion. Do they build off that momentum now going to Atlanta, or does Atlanta finally start to play as good as a lot of the syndicates at least think? Because this has been a team that's been heavily bet all year and losing. They haven't been that good against the spread. Now recently they've covered a few in a row. But does Atlanta ride the ship for the next few games? Again, they still have a few winnable games in front of them, including this one. Or, and another thing is Ridley, how much of an importance is he, right? So now can you just almost like double, triple team Julio to a certain extent? Because Julio's been great. Now with no Ridley, does it take a little bit off of, does it put a little bit more pressure on Julio to perform much better? Is the offense going to be a little too one-dimensional? And Gurley hasn't been all that good at all this year.
No.
I think he's got touchdowns, but his numbers have been very, might I say, Jonathan Taylor-esque. They haven't been that good. But either way, total's a bit high, which is interesting because this wouldn't be a total I would consider people would steam upwards. I would think like 47.5 for me was a fair number for this. The fact that I'm starting to see 49 is interesting. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh, well, everybody usually bets overs anyway, so it makes sense. But like in this game, it doesn't really make sense because Denver's going to really try to slow this game down, you would think anyway. And Atlanta is pretty much big play oriented, and Denver's got a solid defense. So I find it interesting that total's steaming up, which is, I guess, an interesting DFS narrative. But either way, I would lean the Falcons here just because I'm a little bullish on them as well, especially now that I know they're starting to play well. Now, granted, they could draw a dud here, but I would lean the Falcons in this spot.
Okay, very good. I think that is offensively, this should be a day that Denver can just put up points, right? They don't have to run the football. Atlanta, believe it or not, can actually run the football. It's a pass funnel.
Does Drew Lock give you borderline flashbacks to the spot Jimmy G was in last week?
No, because I felt like puking when I put him in my lineup. Okay. And I got lucky. My other guys went off. This week, I don't feel as bad. Maxwell Smart. Who gives a shit who Stu Feiner is on? Seriously. Who cares? Why do we care? Is he mush?
I'll tell you this. The thing about Stu, and he's done this his whole career, is he typically just massively fades the public. So if he believes the public is massively on one side, now granted, that's not a good numbers angle at all, but that's typically his shtick, always been his shtick.
Is he better?
Stu Feiner? Yeah. He dabbles a bit. He's been in the industry quite a bit. Long time.
Yeah. Very good.
Crazy
also want to call out Tyler. Tyler, stop stealing my props. And then, got in at James Conner 79.5. I couldn't post it because I saw it put it up there already. This kid is crushing too.
Would one then argue that you were about to steal his prop?
No, he stole mine. If I had the better number, he stole mine. Okay? That's just how it works, JJ. I don't know what your rules are, but the Run Pure Bets rules that I heard of was that's the way it works. But it's good to know you're on the same side with guys that are good, is all I'll say. And I like the McKissick prop, but it went up too much today. I think he had it at 18.5 receiving yards, but it was at 22.5 by the time I saw it. I said, screw it.
And let the record show I'm expecting a big day. I got the I don't need Google. My boyfriend knows everything mug back. I know it took a break last week. I didn't bring out the mug. Yeah, you see, what show are you going to get more alpha than this? You got Minnie Mouse and my boyfriend knows everything. So
I just love this because why do I look like I throw up every time I take a sip? Hold on.
That's because it's coffee with tequila in it.
It's black coffee. That's why.
Yeah, black coffee.
Yeah, it tastes like shit, but it wakes me up. All right, whatever, Diego. These guys in the chat. What up, Maxwell Smart? Hopefully you get yours today, buddy. Okay, so we got Nick Foles and Ryan Tannehill. I'm looking forward to getting your analysis of this one because Tennessee 6.5-point favorites at home, looking healthy. The Bears do some things, to stop the run. Maybe they could take Henry out of it, but then you got Tannehill. So it's a 6.5-point favorite for Tennessee. I think that's too much, and the total is 47. I think you kind of like the side here and a little tease, no?
Yeah, so slightly lean Tennessee, and actually my best bet from the video will be a 2-team teaser. I'm going to take Tennessee down to 0 or down to -0.5 at a 6-point tease. Take the 6.5 down to 0.5, and I'm also going to include that with Houston. Going to take 6.5 down from Houston down to 0.5 as well. So 2-team teaser there, Tennessee, Houston. Now, typically, I don't like doing that all that often. I know that sometimes I do it on the show, or I've done it on the show before this season. The reason why I don't like to do it is it's typically better expected value to take teasers in the opposite direction, getting more points, versus taking them down to just win games.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like in this spot, Tennessee's just not getting any love here, and that's why this line's really not moving. I feel like it's crazy to me that Chicago's a trendy dog today. I mean, look, they could definitely win; they could win outright. But I don't understand. Do these people watch Nick Foles every week? This dude sucks. I'm not. Is it just? I know that Tennessee's not going to get any pass rush on him, and maybe this is a borderline potential spark for this offense. But Chicago's path to victory, you would assume, is a 13-10.
Yes.
20-17
correct
type game. And Tennessee's game last week, I know it's tough because a lot of people like Tennessee last week, right? So then they come into this week and it's Tennessee just completely shit the bed against Cincinnati. Just awful defensively. That game was just a complete anomaly. I don't know what happened specifically. I don't know if the game was won and lost specifically in the trenches. I don't know if it was a game plan thing. Very odd game from Tennessee. Now, granted, they've been kind of playing above their standard recently anyway. So maybe that was it. But kind of like this team now to bounce back this week and just at least get the win. I don't feel comfortable laying the 6.5 here, but I just feel comfortable for them to get the win in this spot. And again, Nick Foles, I'd have to look, but his yards per pass attempt is one of the lowest in the NFL. This team does not take shots down, and when they do, it's almost always either incomplete or pass interference. It's just and he's so over targets Allen Robinson that it's almost like. I don't understand how teams aren't double and tripling Allen Robinson every time because it's really where Nick Foles is looking now. Darnell Mooney's been a nice little addition for them. He's been playing. Yeah. He's been playing really well, and definitely bumped up on the depth chart. But I just feel like it doesn't make sense to me that people are liking what they're seeing from Nick Foles. I just feel like people continue to think this is the year 2017, and it's not. This dude is an immobile, inaccurate statue in the pocket.
How dare you?
Either way. I like Derrick Henry to have a decent game here. Tannehill to leverage the play action, and them to be able to win this game. So ultimately, that's one half of the teaser that I like.
Okay, very good. I like it. Tease it down. It's -295 on DK. That's what I was looking into. If you want to try and tease it that way, and then if you can get it down to maybe 120 if you pair.
Yeah, I would tell you this: if you're in legal markets, you shouldn't be doing teasers because legal markets will let you do alternate spread parlays, which pay better value than
that's what I'm doing. Yeah, alternate. I love that too. It really is kind of fun. But that's what I was doing, people. So Holden got a great face for radio. No wonder why it's called. Hey, that's mean, dude. That's just mean. I just got out of bed. I had my kids last night. Give me a freaking break, dude. I was up texting some broad that I don't think is really good looking.
That's not even fair, Holden, because you're not I'm airbrushed on this show every week. You're not airbrushed.
I'm not?
No, I mean you wake up and you're on the show. Me, I have a makeup artist show up an hour before the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Your hair.
Yeah. I mean, as you can see, the hair's I've been doing hair since 6 a.m.
Stafford starting today for Detroit. I actually like Kirk Cousins a little today. He likes to shred Detroit. Minnesota is without their 3 corners once again. So we're going back to the beginning of the season. 3.5. Minnesota laying 3.5 at home. Total is 51. This is an interesting total here, JJ. because I could see 27-24 is the problem. Like it's right there. Maybe we need 31-21 or something, but what's your lean? Either side?
Definite lean here with the recent news is over. And this is an interesting game, right? Because it's where you kind of like DFS collides with sports betting. And I say that because you have injuries to corners on Minnesota, which is going to elevate the Detroit passing game. And then, Minnesota's going to be able to score against Detroit because basically every team does. So for me, and this total opens 50.5. It's only up to 51 now. And even 51's lightly vigged at some spots. Like, I just don't think the betting market's taking into consideration how bad this secondary is going to be today for Minnesota. So that would be why I would lean over. Now, I get it. Detroit's getting a little love here with the line steaming through down to 3.5. I don't really have any love in the side. I feel like you're kind of buying high on Minnesota. I don't know if you're really selling low on Detroit per se, but you're definitely buying a little high on Minnesota. And again, you have all those injuries in that secondary. Like, that's the thing. If Minnesota's going to win this game, it's more than likely going to be a borderline shootout.
Right.
So that's why I would lean you after the injury news. I would lean you over at 51.
Okay. So Stafford coming back. No Kenny Golladay, but they still have some weapons with Marvin Jones and Swift. They'll probably rely on him a little bit more. So I'm down with that. So by the way, I just put your
don't forget about the young and Danny Amendola.
Huh?
Don't forget about young Danny Amendola, who's like 38 years young.
I'm so sick of him. I'm not bothering. So here we got your 2-team teaser. It's 136 on defense.
What side?
It's not a great number.
What side?
136. So your Titans minus half, Texans minus a half. 136.
Yeah, so I don't like that. I figured, well, what site did you get that, Holden?
That's DK. I'll keep moving. I'm going to move around, but
yes, I'd say this. Most of you, if that's the number, I wouldn't bet that. But we could shop around while we're on this video if we find a better price.
Yeah, that's what I'll be doing. So I'm not texting this ugly girl. I'm just actually doing this thing here.
Why can't she be a smoke show? Why can't you be not texting the smoke show?
Because I don't know any right now.
Like those aren't in my.
I've just been locked in the house. I'm thinking all I can get. Yeah.
The Rolodex does not include smoke shows right now.
I don't want to spend $400 tomorrow. Just get off the schneid. It's been a couple of weeks. I'll deal with a couple more. Baltimore at Indianapolis. Lamar Jackson taking on a really good defense. Baltimore defense pretty good too. This to me is the one upset I can see, JJ. 48 is the total here, but like Lamar Jackson's been complete garbage for I think more than half the year. He's just throwing the ball, but he's feeling good. Hopefully he'll get the connection with Brown. They got a good defense. I really don't feel like, and T.Y. Hilton's out too. I'm not feeling the Colts today. Am I off here?
You're not feeling the Colts, or you're not feeling the Ravens?
I'm not feeling the Colts -1. I kind of lean Ravens here.
Yeah, so I think that, and I said this on the show on Friday, like the Colts just kind of feel fake sharp in this game. Yes. I know that a lot of people have been touting the Colts this week, and I know that they have Leonard back. I know the Ravens have some secondary issues. But like the Ravens always play poorly against like really good teams, and specifically really good teams that can score a lot, because the Ravens don't like to get into shootouts. We know what Lamar Jackson's record is when he goes down 10 or more. I think he's 0-6, right? His career, maybe 0-7.
He's
Either way, this Colts team isn't exactly like a juggernaut offensively, and they're kind of like a fake good defense. Like they've kind of been exposed defensively on a few in a few games this year. Now, Leonard being back does make a big difference. Okay, definitely one of the better, if not one of the best linebackers in the game. However, for me, like this is a typical spot where Lamar Jackson will play well because the run game should be able to work. They'll be able to leverage the play action. And Lamar Jackson, Lamar Jackson's not going to feel like he has to put up, 40 points today to win the game. Baltimore defense is missing a few pieces, right? They're missing a few corners. Jimmy Smith, a few others.
They're down a little bit too. Yeah.
So there's that part to the narrative, I guess. But for me, I would definitely lean Baltimore in this spot. Again, not a spot I love. I don't love target. Baltimore's a team I rarely ever bet anyway. So but I would just slightly lean them. Nothing lovely.
Just stay away from it. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Ultimately, this would be a nice game to stay away from.
I mean, that's interesting because everywhere has been on the Ravens to be favorites, right?
When you say favorites, you mean, what do you mean?
-1 on the road.
everybody's been picking them, or everybody's?
No, I
been...
just think that was the line. Like I see Colts +1, and then I see Colts -1 on Sports Insights.
It moved around a bit. I saw it on Friday. It moved up to Ravens +1.5. It's kind of moved around. It was Ravens 2.5 early in the week. It's shifted to Ravens -1, then Ravens +1.5. Kind of moved around.
Okay, very good. It's still moving around, I guess, which is really interesting.
Why is so we got a quick question. Why is the line so low? Well, let me ask you this. Why do you think 48 is low, Kirk? Because I'll tell you this. I think we can agree Baltimore's defense is above average. And if you're somebody who believes the Colts defense is above average, then you would argue this total is a little high. However, two decent offenses, right? At least Baltimore's is a pretty good offense. I mean, Phillip Rivers is a turnover machine. So, take that for what it's worth. But, I would argue that the number's probably right where it should be right now at 48. Whether it goes over or under, I would say that's a fair number.
Well, this is another fun game here. I'm looking forward to this one. Carolina at Kansas City. You kind of got this mercurial offense with the Chiefs. Once in a while they'll put together 4 quarters like they did against the Jets last week, and then you'll see them struggle for a half, and then boom, Mahomes throws 3 touchdowns in a quarter. So still love them today. This Carolina defense is going to be no match for them. The Carolina defense actually hasn't been as bad as a lot of people thought. But here's my question for you, JJ. Bridgewater has some weapons. CMC's coming back. Still have Mike Davis. You got Anderson. You got DJ Moore. I mean, and these guys, if I remember correctly, they're coming off that. It was a Thursday. Was that a Thursday night game that they played? What was the primetime game when they played?
Carolina versus Atlanta? Yeah, it was Thursday
night. So they're coming off a nice break, but is that going to help them? Total's 51, 10.5 is, I'm going to go with the 10-point favorite. No hook here with Kansas City, JJ.
So much like the Ravens, I don't really bet the Chiefs a lot. Because, and I want to say bet them, I don't bet on their games a lot, primarily because typically this is a team that week after week, if you look at the numbers, they're a good team to fade as far as the market, what the market thinks of them versus where there's value to be had. However, I've said this before, Mahomes is like a borderline model buster. The dude just it doesn't, what they do with him late in games doesn't make sense as far as what we're used to on a baseline. And what I mean is take the Jets game, for instance, last week. Okay. They're up, whatever it was, 19.5 or 20 late. Okay, and what's Mahomes doing, early in the fourth quarter? Throwing a 70-yard touchdown pass to, was it Hill who caught the late touchdown pass? I don't know. Yeah. But either way, he was still slinging the ball, up 3 touchdowns early in the fourth quarter. And that's just something this team has done for a long time, since Mahomes has taken over. This is why they're a very difficult team to bet on from a numbers angle. Now, this game in particular is interesting because you get C-Mac back. How much is he really going to be used, right? Is his utilization going to be 100%? What I will say is it'd be tough to imagine it won't be near 100%. And I say that because you could argue he's more important. He's just as important to his team as any other player in the NFL, non-quarterback position player, okay, with everything he does from a non-quarterback position. Why would they bring him back early? To me, it wouldn't make sense. He had to be fully healthy before they decided to bring him back. And he probably is fully healthy. So you'd assume he gets a full workload despite what coaches are saying, not saying. But again, how do you really know? He could be fully healthy and the coaches could still limit him. I guess you don't know that angle. So that makes it difficult here. Of course, he is a huge upgrade from Mike Davis, though. But this is just a tough game overall. So obviously, as you said, Holden, the line's getting steamed back down to 10. Carolina's getting some love here. What I don't like, though, is what I've been seeing from Teddy Bridgewater. So I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's fatigue. But Bridgewater's numbers have begun to drop off a bit. Now, I don't know if, again, I don't know the exacts why, but if you look at his numbers early on in the year versus recent games, and it's not like he's played better defenses recently. He's played some soft defenses that he's really struggled against, and we know he's got the weapons, right, with Moore and Anderson. It's just been odd. So for me, it's tough to back Carolina knowing that Bridgewater hasn't really been playing up to what he was earlier in the year. And the Chiefs, as you said, Mercurial, they're tough to pin down in terms of when they want to play and when they don't. Because you watch them sometimes this year, Holden, there's games that they just kind of cruise through. You're like, oh, well, the Chiefs are an easy win here. And you watch them, and it's consistently on 3rd and 5s, they're handing the ball off. And you're like, what are you doing? The other interesting angle with the Chiefs is how much is Bell going to be used? It looks like that's a full-blown timeshare now in Kansas City. But that'll play off or play out as over the next few weeks. But either way, not a spot I love in any regard in this game. Going to be a game I'm completely off.
Yep, got it. Totally understand. Watson, Luton, Jake Luton. I mean, hold on. Isn't this the dude from the AAF? This guy was playing in the AAF. Now he gets to start against the Texans.
I only know him from the Beavers. I don't know what he did.
Oregon State.
Yeah, I don't know what he did post that.
You know what he reminds me of? Kind of like a Chris Winkie. You know, he's 29 now. He bounced around. He was.
How about like a Brandon Weeden? Remember when Brandon Weeden got drafted at like age 35?
Yeah. It's just, I mean, what's going on here? This is not going to be a good scene. I mean, the Texans love the blitz. You got a guy that has no idea. I don't think he knows what he's in for. Actually, he's only 24. It was the guy with the, there's somebody else starting this week that's a complete jabroni that.
Gilbert from SMU.
There you go. But anyways, I think Luton's in a lot of trouble today. And I know you teased this one down to a half. To me, I mean, I think they just cover outright. This is a bad Jacksonville team. It's not like Houston. It's not like Houston's a terrific team, but 6.5 on the road. That's where you get a little uncomfortable because they're that big of favorites on the road, and the total's at 48.
Yeah, so this is another spot where I don't want to lay the points, but I'm happy to just think Houston comes out with a victory here. Jake Luton, Oregon State Beaver, played like 20 or 21 career games over there. Had some decent numbers, you know, nothing crazy, but nothing that bad either. You know, plays in the Pac-12, which is typically an offensive-friendly conference. But either way, first start here against a pretty soft defense. You know, they might blitz him a lot, but Houston's pretty soft in the secondary. So he should have opportunities. Your boy Robinson might be able to have a decent game today. But for me, I've liked more of what I've seen from Houston post-coach change in terms of what they're allowing Watson to do, moving the ball downfield. Now it kind of seems like Will Fuller's here to stay. So, you know, maybe they try to get him more involved. But, you know, the thing with Fuller is, and I'm interested why, like, the dude does he have the most fragile hamstrings you've ever seen, Holden?
Yes, that's why I said if he goes to Green Bay, they tried to trade for him. His hamstrings were going to snap in half in December. There.
I mean, he did play at Notre Dame. He's no stranger to cold. He played at Notre Dame.
Yeah, well, too bad. Like his hamstrings have fallen off. Now he's getting older. It's all downhill. You know who I love though? I think I told you this. I love Watson. Or I loved Watson a lot more. I love Brandon Cooks today. Here's another one. 4.5 receptions. I put that one down. I don't know if it's up to 5.5 or not, but the dude was the third most targeted player weeks 5 through 8 leading up to the bye.
The big thing you can argue there is post-coach change. It was like a defined thing in the schematics. Get Cooks the ball more, right. and that's kind of been proven. The 3 games he's gotten a lot more targets, and why would that change today against a very below-average secondary in Jacksonville?
Yeah, so I like that one, and just get your thoughts on the rest of this game here.
Yeah, so to me, you have to punch the kid in. Luton for a few turnovers. You know, how many? I don't know. Maybe a sack fumble, maybe a pick. It'd be hard to imagine this kid goes turnover free all game, even against a below average defense in Houston. So when you start weighing that into the mix and how much better the offense looks for Houston post coach change, for me, I like Houston to just get out of here with a win. Now, will they cover? You're not going to make a whole lot of money taking teams that are 1-6, laying 7 on the road. But you know, we've seen who Houston's played. And to me, they should be able to come out of here with a win, which is why I like teasing them down.
All right, let's do a hair break.
So is that where we just kind of?
No, we're just a disaster today. It's just a mess. Might as well. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, buddy. Oh, let me give shout outs to people today. Hello, Benjamin, Otter, Antonio. We see you here. Tyler, Bills fan, Maxwell Smart, Antonio. Run Pure Bets is in the house. Wonderful. Good job, guys. Damon, all these guys are here. I love you so much. Thank you so much for showing up. Yego, best pie eater, even though you're a meanie. Anybody else? Kirk, Larry Turd, Jason and Matt. If I missed any of you, I'm sorry, but drop in. And like always, JJ loves to know your flaccid cock size, so don't forget to drop those in today.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really that I love to know it, Holden. It's just part of the process.
Yeah, I feel like you do.
Archival, you know, you understand.
Do you ask them when they sign up for subs? It's like name, address, social security number, flaccid cock size.
Yeah, they get emailed immediately. It's like an ASAP thing.
All right, here's a game I want nothing to do with today. Giants, Washington football team. Daniel Jones and Kyle Allen, 2 garbage franchises going head to head. Totals 43.5. And the fact that Washington's a favorite, I mean, come on, 2.5-point favorite. JJ, I want nothing to do with this. Did you find an angle here?
Well, let me ask you this, Holden, with that thought. Is that thought because the Giants have just looked better recently, or is that because you're just like Washington's not trying to win games? They shouldn't be favored against anybody.
Like, I look at both of these teams and I have no idea what's showing up today. I have no read on this game, which is why I don't want anything to do with it. I think, you know what? I like both defenses today. If there's anything that we look at, so maybe if you wanted to look at the total, I'd be fine with that. But that's a really low total too. 43.5. I could see that going under because I like both defenses.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting, right? When the natural perception of two teams that they both have bad offenses, it's always easy to just go towards, okay, well, they're not going to score. But like these two teams also don't have great defenses. Now Washington has a tremendous defensive line.
I disagree. I think Washington, they're healthy again. They got Chase Young back. I think they have a good front, a really good front four, put pressure on Jones, and a really good front seven. So
yeah, I agree. They definitely have a top 5 defensive line in football. I can agree with that. I think the rest of it, though.
Okay.
The rest of it, though, agree to disagree. And and I will tell you this: the Giants, though, they do kind of have an underrated defense. Like their numbers, aren't they like top 15 in a bunch of categories defensively, which is kind of surprising.
That's why I kind of both of these defenses a little sneaky.
So it's a good point you bring up in favor of the under here. Overall, this is definitely I don't want any part of this game because it's like what version of the Giants you're going to get, what version of Washington you're going to get. It doesn't. Why would you with all the games here? Why would you bet on two teams that really aren't even trying to win games today? Like. So I don't know. It's not going to be a spot I love in any way. Daniel Jones, the one thing we know about him is he loves to turn the ball over. So you're going to get that today in one facet or another. But every other aspect, it's just an ugly game all around. I'm with you, though. After you mentioned it, it does make sense. 43, though it's a low number, but it would make sense to lean on it.
Yeah, I like the hook, too, 43.5. I didn't even take that. And then, I mean, unless they're playing on Thursday night or Monday night, they're not going to play on Sunday night anymore. Like I don't want anything to do with the NFC East. Just these teams play each other. It turns into a shit show. We saw that with the Giants and the Eagles. We see it with the Cowboys, the Washington football teams. It's just ugly, man. It's gross. Las Vegas at the Chargers. All right, let's start with the total before anything else because the spread is the Raiders are laying a point on the road. 52.5. Are either one of these teams going to be able to stop each other? Come on. Herbert's playing well. Keenan Allen is not 100%. That does scare me a little bit. And then on the Raiders side, who's stopping them? Who's stopping Waller? Who's stopping Jacobs?
Yeah, so I agree with that. And considering that the total got steamed down from 56 to 52, I could definitely agree with that sentiment. The interesting thing here is like, this dude, Anthony Lynn, proves week in and week out like he is one of the worst coaches in the NFL. Like to let what happened last week happen in that Denver game, like literally the Chargers and Herbert are slinging the ball all over the field. They get a big lead. It's the fourth quarter. Then they start running the ball like for no reason other than the fact that they're just trying to run the game out. They do not have a good run game by any means. And then they start punting more, give Denver a little momentum, and then put themselves in a situation for their defense to lose that game. Either way, like I said, I've been the exact opposite of a fan for Anthony Lynn for years. This game, though, I agree with you, Holden. It does make sense that it shoots out, but this is a very high total. As far as high totals, I'd prefer Seattle Buffalo's total over versus this one. And it's more. And look, I get it. You're probably going to get the points you need out of Herbert. So maybe you target the team total over for the Chargers, assuming that if the Raiders win, it's probably going to be a shootout. Because if the Raiders are going to win, it does make sense, right? If the Raiders are going to win a high-scoring game, like the Raiders aren't going to like cripple the Chargers defensively. And the defensive game the Raiders played against the Browns, like that doesn't mean much to me.
I wiped that whole game off. Like here, just on the DFS side, I'm going to take a shot on Nelson Aguilar last week. Should have scored a touchdown. Guy's been on fire. Neither side could throw the ball last week. Exactly. Heavy winds, sleet. It was disgusting. Take that out. I'm not counting any of those stats. None of them. They should take them out. Because that was a different situation. This is just going to be a pristine surroundings. Two teams that should score a whole bunch of points. So hold on, I got to sneeze.
Let it rip. Let it. You look like you're about to go exorcism on us.
It wouldn't come out. God damn it! All right. It's just so frustrating, man. Seriously. Like you
I
got.
didn't know if you were going to start meditating. I didn't know if you were going to start meditating or your eyes were just going to roll back. But yeah, I don't. There's no angle that I love in this game. If I would lean aside, it would probably be the Raiders. But there does come some bias with that because I just think this dude Anthony Lynn is just so below average for the talent they have in the Chargers.
All right, now we got my boy Garrett Gilbert, 29-year-old, went to SMU in Texas. 6th-round pick in 2014. No idea what he's been doing for a few years. Now he's 29 years old, coming off an appearance for the Orlando franchise. What was their names? It was Apollos, the Orlando Apollos of the AAF. Okay, I don't know what's going on with this guy, but I'll tell you what's going on. He's going to get his ass kicked today, and it's not going to be pretty. He does have a Super Bowl ring with the Patriots, though, from back in 2014. So there's obviously a pedigree there, JJ, that I'm sure you're taking into account. Being the third-string quarterback on the Patriots for a couple of weeks, got him a ring. So that's great. Steelers are going to just destroy him, aren't they? Like, I don't understand how they're not going to murder him. And then the other thing would be the total is 44.5, fine. But now the Steelers minus 14 and a hook. What do you think of the hook?
Yeah, so this will never be a spot I bet from a numbers standpoint. You can't bet Dallas today. Like, I get it. There might be the people that are like, oh, sports is fixed, so Dallas will find a way to cover. But, like, how's that been going for you if you've been betting Dallas every week? Now, look, this could be the spot where Dallas covers, maybe. But when you just talk about this game in the trenches, okay, let's assume, and I know it's a tough assumption to make, but let's assume Pittsburgh after 2 very, very emotional wins, okay? Tennessee emotional win, Baltimore emotional win. Now they get this cupcake matchup. Let's assume, though, for this argument, that they are at 100% motivation for this game. In what world, from the trenches perspective, do they just not dominate this game on both sides of the ball? Like, so, I mean, Dallas actually has a decent pass rush, but it's not well, let's just talk the offensive side for Dallas. This team's on their 4th and 5th string offensive linemen. There is no better team in the NFL in terms of sacks per game than the Pittsburgh Steelers. They like blitz the second most, and they have a good front four anyway without blitzing. So they could – I mean, this kid is going to be put into very difficult situations. Now, McCarthy could get a little crafty with the play calling as he did some of the games earlier or last game or the game before where they were getting some wide receiver reverse, fake passes. And is Zeke confirmed to play? I know that he was hurt. Is he going to play?
Zeke is now trending toward playing, but I don't think it matters, JJ. I don't think him – and I think Pollard's the better back. I've said this a million times.
Pollard's definitely quicker.
I don't think either one of them are going to do anything today.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to matter much. I think the big thing is like this is going to be your trendiest like teaser game of the week. Everybody's going to take this line as far down as they can for Pittsburgh in any way possible because how does Pittsburgh lose this game? The only way Pittsburgh loses this game is if they come into it with just no motivation, like literally no motivation. Again, they've come off 2 emotional wins and they get sandwiched in with this game, which really doesn't like if you're Pittsburgh getting prepared for this week, what do you think like mentally these players are saying to themselves? Like are they licking their chops at the idea that they can pad their numbers on the D line, or is it like here's a game, it's like a bye week for us. Like let's just get in there, grab a win and whatever, it's fine. Overall, it's a spot I want to avoid. Survivor leagues, I don't know how you don't pick Pittsburgh this week. If they lose, they lose. I mean, it is what it is. But this is an ugly game. And you can't like – and you might say, okay, well, maybe we just bet Dallas's team total under. Their team total is 13. So, like, you can accidentally score 2 touchdowns. Anything can happen for you to accidentally fall into the end zone twice. So, I don't like that either. I mean, you could argue bet Pittsburgh's team total over, but again, from a motivational standpoint, if you had to put a gun to my head with the line movement, with the way it is, I would probably bet Pittsburgh's team total under. And the only reason for that is I just don't know where this motivation is going to come from for this team to want to score. Now, if Dallas turns the ball over in bad spots, which open up freebies for Pittsburgh, then fine. But overall, that would be my look to the game would be Pittsburgh's team total under, which should be, based on this total, about 31.5. I got that right?
31.5.
30? No, it's got to be
higher.
It's got to be more than that. It's got to be like 33.5, 34.
At least. Yeah. At least 34, I would think.
But either way, that would be my lean under for this game. But either way, tread lightly here because you're not going to make a living in the NFL betting road teams laying 14.5.
God, you just look at the lineup. Like if I asked you to set a line when we saw this, and I say, hey, Garrett Gilbert's starting at QB, Zeke isn't going to be 100%. it's the Cowboys. Like, where would you have set the line?
For this game?
Yeah, 14?
Yeah, so 13.5 would be what the numbers are. Okay. But ultimately, but again, it really depends on how highly or not you rate Gilbert, right? So ultimately, I basically rank him in the bottom half of third string quarterbacks, which makes him a huge drop off from Dalton. I would say it's no drop off from DiNucci, and it's a gigantic drop off from Dak. I mean, because think about this for a second. Let's say Dak is in this game, right? This line's probably what? Pick 'em? Probably. Yeah. Maybe. I mean, probably pick 'em, right? Because Pittsburgh's still not getting enough market respect.
I think, well, you know what? Yeah, because their defense is so bad. That's a pick 'em.
So ultimately, I mean, and it could be right? The drop off from Dak to Gilbert is 15 points. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Either way, 13.5 would be what I have it at, but still, I don't want to. Even the extra hook past 14, I wouldn't bet Dallas. So,
okay. So we got one more game to get to here, and that will be Miami at Arizona, Tua and Kyler Murray. Now, the Dolphins' defense actually shown up a little bit lately. We got Chase Edmonds going. He's been the more effective back for Arizona. Arizona loves to put pressure on the quarterback. I think Tua is in for a really long day if he plays like he did last week. Total here is 49, and we've got the spread at Arizona laying 6 points -1. I'm seeing at 108. You can get it 110 too, but boy, it's tough for me not to like Arizona today. But 6 points, oh, that's such like I don't know. What am I doing here?
Yeah, he got in late to the party. It was 3.5 most of the week. It moved late, which I'm interested if it moved late because of some injury news that I'm not aware of, or if it just got steamed late on a public Sunday. But it is wild. It's to me. So there's an interesting narrative to the Tua situation, right? So he plays very poorly last week, and there's some rumblings that came out that more or less there's a possibility that they benched Fitzpatrick because they wanted to know what they have in Tua before a huge QB class coming out for this year in college. So there could be some facts to that. Tua did not look very good, but you could also argue from a game management perspective, they had a lead. There was no need for them to pull out all the stunts with Tua in that game. And also the Rams, I say this every week, the Rams have a sneaky elite defense. Not a sneaky good defense, sneaky elite defense, okay? Big defensive line with Donald, who, by the way, sack fumble on the third play of the game for Tua or against Tua last week. And then you got Ramsey and a decent secondary for the Rams as well. They're just, again, a sneaky elite defense. The numbers prove it. Now you play Arizona, who definitely does not have a sneaky good defense. So does that give Tua a little more time to do a little more than he did last week? Maybe. Does Murray kind of rekindle some of his early season fire here? But as you mentioned, Holden, Miami's had a sneaky good defense too. Not elite though, but definitely sneaky good. The last few weeks they've been really good. It's not like I know the big talk of this week has been, oh, well, Tua looked like shit, so I'm just going to fade Miami knowing Tua looked like shit. But the defense still played really well, and that defense is getting any respect for playing well. But either way, 3.5 would have been a spot you could have liked, but at 6, it's hard to like. It's hard to like, a lot of this at this current number. And even the total, total's a little high. I really want no part of that angle of it. I would say this: if you're going to bet Miami, you're going to need Tua to play well today. More or less. And he didn't play well at all last week. So if you have confidence in Tua, he should be able to hopefully keep this around the number at 6, at the new number at 6. But you can't – if you're betting Arizona now at 6, you are very late to the party, getting a very bad number. It was literally 3.5, borderline all week.
All right, so here's the deal. We got 5 minutes left in the show. If you'd like to get a question in, we'd be happy to do that. John wants to know if we gave our best bets. We did, but luckily for you, we're going to do it again.
I'll real quick. I'll run through what I like. I'll run through what I like on Prize Picks today. Yeah. So for me this week, it's going to be a 2-player power play and a 2-player flex and a 2-player power and a 3-player power. Okay. 2-player power is going to be Noah Fant over 10.6 fantasy points. That number is just way too low. And I know that we were just talking about Tua. I like Tua's over here at 15.5. It's just a very low number. So you typically don't see quarterback numbers this low. And to put into perspective, they have Jake Luton at 14.2. So basically 1 point less than Tua. And it's this dude's first career start with no college pedigree. Tua comes in the NFL with a huge college pedigree. 15.5 is a very soft number. In a game that could game script him playing from behind, and earning some chunk points in that regard. And the third play, I'm just trying to find it here. The third play is actually going to be Derrick Henry over 18. I know it's 3 overs, and I typically on Sundays I like to bet unders. But for me, I look at it like there's a bunch of soft numbers in games where the teams are playing decent defenses or the totals just don't seem to script well enough. I think they lean more on Henry. Last week they kind of split his load a bit, sort of like load sharing him. But I think that Henry has a decent game today in a game that they really need to win after a few tough games for Tennessee. So I like Henry in the 3 play, but the 2 player is going to be Tua and Fant, and then I'm adding Henry in the 3 play for over. Okay. So those are the plays I like. And again, sign up to prizepicks.com. We've been really good over there, actually, with a bunch of the picks. It's all tracked on our site, Run Pure Bets. If you sign up with promo code PURE, P-U-R-E, you get a 100% deposit match bonus up to $100. So,
did one of us say Tua sucked, or are they just going at it in the chat? Because I don't remember saying he sucked. He had a horrible week last week.
I think he's saying the narrative, because I mentioned the narrative this week in media was that Tua played poorly and he sucks.
One game.
I don't think they're taking that, and to your point, Kaiser, I don't think they're taking that into like full-blown perspective. Like, again, Tua had no reason to be showing anything off last week, like at all.
Best bets. Let's hear it.
Best bets. So did we get a better number on that teaser?
124, but instead of a half, it was 1.
Find that
I don't
interesting.
know. I'm not going to hit it.
I would hold, and I would recheck that because Tennessee's down to 6.
Okay, I'll recheck it after the show. Absolutely.
Let me see what I can do. Yeah, if we got another question, I'll see if I can get a better line on it right now.
Okay, good. Let me know where you get it. I'm only doing legal books though.
I'm at points. I'm at points bet. So let me look.
You know what, man? I know those guys. I love those guys. I met with them here in Denver, and they still haven't launched. It's driving me nuts.
Oh, they're close.
They're home base. They now have a hub here. So they went from Jersey, and all the management moved out to Denver, and they still haven't launched here. Fascinating.
Yeah, I know for a fact they're close.
Well, they better be. I really want to bet this, man. So anyways, your play, you want to look for it a little closer. Okay, my play here, and I put this on the sheet, was Darren Waller over 4.5 receptions. I don't see how the Chargers stop this guy in a high-scoring game. 5 catches should not be very much for Waller today. He is their number 1 option. I mean, sure, Ruggs can get involved. Maybe they give Jacobs a couple of targets. Nelson Aguilar. By far and away the best offensive option they have is Waller. And I just and after a couple mediocre performances last year, I think he really steps in and takes care of business.
I like it.
Yeah. And then I want to see where the Brandon Cooks one is, because I don't want to. No, it's still at 4.5. 4.5 receptions on Brandon Cooks. I feel that's 2 plays I'm throwing out here. Probably, you want to put that on the sheet too? I'll do 3. Maybe I can hit 2 out of 3 because I don't feel great about the Watson anymore. Can you throw that on there? Over 4.5 for Cooks?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, good. Because he's not, he can be a deep threat, but they'll also look for him in the middle of the field. And with it being a little bit windy, I'm fine with that. So I'll go Cooks over 4.5, Waller over 4.5.
Okay, yeah, I'm surprised. So I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing it now down to 128, which isn't the end of the world. It's much better than 137. So I'll lock that in for this show. So Houston down to a 0.5 point, and Tennessee down to a 0.5 point. Now, wherever you're getting it, it'll be just a standard 6-point tease, which you should be able to get at better odds than I'm getting at right now. But again, if you want to do an alternate spread parlay, I'd have to look actually, Holden, because if I did
you keep talking. I literally have to get off, but this Antonio's talking some shit. So give me a second.
But I will. So that'll be played. I'll type it in here. So it's a 2-team tease, 2-team 6-point tease.
All right.
It's Houston and Tennessee.
You want some memorabilia, Jabroni? Here. I met both these guys. I met Joe DiMaggio and Ted Williams, and I got them to sign this. And I'm not hanging it up behind me.
That's pretty awesome. Get him, Holden. Get him.
Start with my stuff. I got so much memorabilia, it's not even funny.
Get him, Holden.
Yeah. So don't even yeah. Single piece this. All right, I gotta go. Antonio, everybody.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Obviously, you got my two-team 6-point tees. Darren Holden likes Darren Waller's props.
Would you get that at again? 130. It was 135, right?
I'm 128 now.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay. Take it.
So guys, wish you all the best of luck with all your plays. We'll have a live show for our members in the Discord all day, targeting some live action. We also have a bunch, I think there's like 7 or 8 total plays up for today on the sheet. So definitely check that out as well. And again, guys, good luck with all your bets today. And of course, stay safe.